User Podcast, Episode 1, upload, schedule for... Whoa, hey, hot mics, how about it? The Golden Stallion here with you for something that, wow, I had mentioned that I do last week on, I think it was last week on the Wednesday Q&A, and once I mentioned that I would do it, suddenly I got a ton of questions. And what I had mentioned was, I said, you know what, it's been a while since I had done my last, fitness special episode. In fact, the original one, I think I made it available for free on YouTube eventually, months later after I had done it. Sometimes I will do that. Usually I ask you, the patrons, first, do you mind if I release this content out to the world? Because in some ways, I mean, you're paying for it, and it's yours after a fashion. And so, I want you to be a part of the process. I love it when patrons are part of the process. But yeah, part of the process, a lot of you had questions saying, hey, wow, what do you do for your workouts now that are so dramatic and that have changed so much? I got some very nice compliments, people saying they saw the picture of me in my my cut-off Captain Picard uniform that I had to make because the shirt fit fine. It's just the arms. Fuck it, you can't do it. And so I just cut off the arms, and I was like, there we go. We're Mirror Universe Picard, right? So I got a lot of questions saying, what do you do? What's your breakdown? And that they'd love to hear an update. And so I figure, well, this is the time of year when a lot of people are getting gym memberships. A lot of people are maybe starting to say, all right, I'm going to start taking my fitness seriously. Or, if you want to, you don't have to. Like I say, your best you is what you choose. I mean, your best you you don't have to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, to be your best you. Your best you is totally subjective, and it's, it's up to you. Well, I mean, it's subjective upon your lifestyle choice. Granted, there can be objective metrics as to whether or not you're actually achieving the best of what you want your best you to be, right? Do you have 15-inch arms? Do you have 18-inch arms? Do you have 22-inch arms? Right now, I'm in the middle there. I'm trying to get above 20, but I'm stuck at 18. Well, I'm not stuck, but, anyway. So, should be, all right, not going there. We're here to talk about you. Well, we're here to talk about me, but I want to talk, but it's to help you on your path. If you want to get into fitness, I don't think it's unfair to say, yes, there are absolute advantages to taking your fitness seriously, to taking your health seriously, I'm not shaming anybody that doesn't want to do that. That's fine. There are advantages to, we talked about in the Sovereign Tech Prime episode this week about with the lovely and hyper-intelligent Dr. Stephanie Murphy on, where Bill Gates says, yeah, but the time you spend exercising is time you could spend, doing other shit. And that at the end of your life, perhaps at the end of the average human life, it doesn't necessarily add up. I would argue the opposite, for me. But that's up to you, and like I said then, nobody's going to tell Bill Gates that he's doing it wrong, right? So it's your choice. But if you care about fitness, this episode is here for you. Obviously, there's all kinds of Patreon content meant for all different kinds of patrons because I have all different kinds of patrons. I have patrons that are capitalists. I have patrons that are communists. I have egoists. I have, I have patrons that really only care about hearing my hot takes on tech. I have patrons, they don't even care about the philosophy or the anarchism or anything like that. I have all kinds of patrons. So not every Patreon episode is for everybody, and that's okay. But that's why I do so much. But most of the time, in fact, after last week's, I get people saying to me, look, I'd love it if you just put out daily stuff because I just, love hearing your voice for an hour during the day, every day. And I'm like, well, okay. I don't know what to make of that, but thank you, I guess. So anyway, there's all kinds of patrons out there. So please, when I, and this is in general, when I put out there maybe something that could be seen as braggadocious, or maybe it's my intent to be braggadocious, about my fitness goals or fitness achievements or things like this. And look, in the grand scheme, I'm not doing anything like those guys are able to pull off, a Gold's Gym, at least not yet. I might be trying to get to that point, but regardless, my point is that anytime I'm talking about that, look, I'm not trying to make you feel bad. I am not judging your lifestyle choice. Okay. Or at least I'm not saying you're wrong. Obviously, everybody's judging all the time. I mean, like just about everything, and everybody is comparing. I mean, the individual is the measure of all things. Well, you're an individual and you're measuring. Okay? So that's fine. But I'm not condemning you for not wanting to take your fitness seriously or something like that. I mean, that's okay. So anyway, if I recover some ground from the last fitness special that I guess I'll call it that, a fitness special, Sovereign Tech fitness special, that I did, that, don't mind me, but this could be the first time, since I have so many new patrons, this could be the first time that some of you have heard this. And it could be very new information for you, because I don't think, and maybe I'm wrong, but I mean, like, if some of the patrons, like if you really listen back to the entire back catalog, like I'd like to know if you do. I mean, some of you I know have been here the whole time, but if you actually go back and listen to the whole back catalog, I would be very intrigued, to hear from you and on what you think about all of that. But regardless, so this may recover some ground, but I think it's important ground to cover because it's the basics, and then we'll get into, what has changed and what's different. And then, come 2019, we'll do this all over again. So Happy New Year. Welcome to 2018. And if you want to get into, if you want to start getting serious about fitness and work on your health, here we go. So, all right, the very first thing that you need, it is, of course, philosophical. The very first thing you need to ask yourself, okay, because that will change. Like, all I can tell you about, well, I mean, I could tell you about a few other other perspectives, sure. But all I will generally be telling you about, like, are my own goals, okay? Now, these are goals that can be achieved by man, woman, Z, okay? It doesn't, I don't think there's anything, male specific in what I do, but well, there might be a little thing, but we can talk about that. It's easy to adjust it if you're looking for a slightly different goal. But you need to ask yourself, and you need to be able to answer, or at least I think it's important to be able to answer, why do you want to take fitness seriously? Do you just want to live longer? Okay? Because if you just want to live longer, you don't need to look like, Sylvester Stallone. You don't need to look like The Rock. You don't need to build up a body of that size. If it's just about being healthy, it's a very different path than the one that I'm on. Okay? I'm not saying mine isn't simple, like that's not a part of why I do what I do. But I'm saying that if that's all there is for you, then it's a very, very different situation. Okay. And like body weight workouts and things like this and lots of cardio, or not lots of cardio, but a fair amount of cardio and all that, will do you just fine. All right. So, ask yourself, is that, now if that's just part of it, well, then we need to continue. Is it because, you want to become some kind of athlete and you want to, compete? Then, that's another reason entirely. And that requires not necessarily a show of strength, meaning that like, when you flex your biceps or when you're just walking around, that you have like this impressive size to you. Okay. But you need functional, much more functional strength that will look very different. Okay. There's a reason that like guys in the UFC, that they don't look like maybe guys in the WWE, right? Because the guys in the WWE, yeah, they're the best athletes in the world, but they also like there's showmanship going on. They need to present their bodies as much as they need to, keep them in shape. Okay, so as to where guys in UFC, well, they have very specific goals. They need to hit the hardest. They need to do this the hardest. They need to be able to survive this, etc. Okay, so they have different goals. They need a much more functional strength rather than maybe what you could call a showman strength. Okay, or a showy strength. So, answer the again, these are the questions you need to answer. Okay, you need to ask and answer. Is that, why do I want to do this? Why do I want to get into fitness? What is this all about? And I say this all the time. And this is, really, like, if it's just to look good naked, if it's just to have a certain air of confidence about yourself, things like that, and I think those kind of stem from sort of the same vein, and pun intended there, VEIN or VAIN, that's completely valid. Like, that's 100% valid. If you just want to look good naked, that's all the reason in the world to spend 2 hours a day working out, or an hour a day, or however long. Okay. But you've got to be able, you got to be able to answer, why are you doing this? Okay. That's the first question, and you can come up with an answer for that. All right. So for me, I will give you my answer on that. My answer is yes, I want to look good naked. Yes, I want to have a certain size. There's a certain look that I'm going for that I appreciate, that I enjoy seeing of myself. Okay. Same reason you get a tattoo. Same reason, that people wear certain clothing or jewelry or something like that. Okay. You've got a look you're going after. I have a look that I want. Okay. And I like being strong too. In my opinion, strong is good. But it is, and much of it very much is about, having that look. I am really, really for that. I am not going to be competing in the IFBB. I don't have time for that. I have much more fun, talking to you, doing podcasting, and everything else. But yeah, a lot of it is, again, I like the strength. I like the, having the overall fitness level, because that's part two is, of course, I want to live a really long time, a really fucking long time. Okay, I have no expectation that I'm going to die. Like I just don't. I think we're in that what could be called a Goldilocks zone of humanity, where we are going to existence is going to really change in a lot of ways. Some will choose for the better, some will choose perhaps for the worse. But existence, the human condition, the human condition, I don't want to say that it's going to change, but like the way that it presents itself and the ends, the means to get to the ends of the human condition, I think are going to shift dramatically, very soon. So yeah, I'm all about living forever, all the way. Okay. So fitness, very important to me for look as well as health in general, and just living as long as I possibly can. So there's my why. Okay. Now next question that you have to ask yourself. Okay. And these questions are important. We'll get into all the fitness stuff, all the little tricks that you can do, whatever. That's fine. Okay. But let's get the foundation down, because you got to have it straight in your head. You got to have it right in your head. Otherwise you're going to waste so much time. Not to say you won't still end up with something impressive. Okay. But if you're not in it mentally, and you don't know the why, the want, and all that, you're going to be spinning your wheels for a while. So, okay. So the want is, what do you want to, or is more of the what do you want to look like? Okay. Like do you have a specific body type that you're going for, particularly if it's like me, where you're going for a look, right? If you want to look good naked and you're going for a certain presentation or whatever. Okay. What do you want that to, how do you want that to shape up? Do you want to look like The Rock? Okay. Do you want to look like Michael Phelps? Do you want to, what do you want to look like? You gotta answer that question. And it doesn't hurt. And we've actually talked about this on recent Q&As, that, if you have an end goal, you have an example of what that end goal looks like say it's The Rock in the movie Hercules or something, or it's speaking of Hercules, say it's Kevin Sorbo. I don't know, whatever it ends up being. Maybe make the background wallpaper on your computer, make it a picture of The Rock, with full abs, the whole thing, looking good. Or if it's some wrestler or something that you want to look like, that's a lot easier to get pictures of them. Print out posters, maybe if you have like a home gym of some kind, go ahead, put them up, put it on the background of your phone or something. Constantly have it in your mind what you're going for. Okay. And what you want to look like. And every choice is valid, whatever the fuck you want to look like. And if you want to look, if you want to go like full on Mr. Olympia looking like Ronnie Coleman, or Phil Heath or Jay Cutler, or, like some of the classic guys like Lee Haney, Dorian Yates, whatever. I mean, you want to be doing that sort of thing, by all means, like any of your choices are valid. You want to be a monster, be a monster. That's okay. I'm looking to be a monster. By all means, go for that. Okay. So, and you want to have that in your head, and that's because the first trick that we're going to, so you got to know why you're doing this. You got to know what you want to look like. Okay. And part of the reason for this is step one, okay, or trick one perhaps, all right, in working out. And that is whatever muscle group, and there's a lot of varying ways. There's people who are really big believers in doing full body workouts every day. There's people who believe in doing split sets where, like, in the morning they do upper body, at night they do lower body every single day or something like that. I don't engage in either of those. I do spot training, which where, you know, every day of the week is a very specific muscle group, or a jumbled of muscle groups. But bottom line being is that, you know, it's very specific in what I'm working out. Okay, whatever you're doing, you need, even if you're doing full body, okay, you're still at certain points working out specific muscles, okay? You need to have your head in that muscle. Now, what I mean by that, okay, is you need to be spending the time concentrating on what muscle you're working. If you're doing abs, be thinking about this. This isn't woo-woo, okay? Trust me, and I'll explain why. You've got to be thinking about, okay, what are my abs doing? How are they moving? You've got to be paying attention to that, okay? For example, a lot of the workouts that you can do for abs, especially when you start adding in weights, it's very easy for you to start working out entirely different muscle groups than the abs. Like if you're doing like these, they're like arm swings and you're holding weights, okay, it's a really great workout for the abdominals. It's very easy if you start twisting your hips, it's very easy that you will stop working out the abdominals entirely, and instead you'll end up working, you know, like maybe your quads and to some degree your arms, instead of actually working the abdominals, which is the whole reason you're doing this. So you want to be paying very close attention. You want to get your head in that muscle in what you're doing, and you want to be feeling it. You want to try and feel it as much as you can. You got to put your head in the game, right? Wasn't that the old High School Musical song? So be thinking, pay very close attention to what muscles you're working and get your mind on them. All right. If you're working biceps, well, then be thinking about the biceps. Make sure everything's very slow and deliberate. It doesn't have to be slow. We'll talk about that in a second. Okay. But make sure everything is very deliberate. Make sure you're feeling it. You're feeling the muscle that you're actually trying to work out. Have your head there. Pay attention. Okay. As much as you can. There's certainly some advantages to thinking outside of it and to kind of like, maybe ignoring the pain a little bit sometimes, but as much as you can, pay very close attention, get your head in that muscle, and you will see. And look, I can only take this anecdotally. I don't know what scientific research could exactly even be done to prove this, but I'm not the only person that's ever said this. There's lots of other fitness gurus, as it were, and I'm not saying I'm one. I'm only telling you what works for me. But, a lot of guys say this, how even Arnold, says how like you can, if you're getting your mentality in the muscle that you're working, you're going to have better results than other guys who are just kind of like, just around. They could be working the same amount as you, 5 hours in the gym or something, but you're going to see the better results. And I feel like ever since I really took that advice of really having my mind in the muscle, I've seen fairly extraordinary gains in a very short period of time. So I think that's a really important thing to do. And now when I mentioned about if you know what you want your body to look like and you start putting examples around yourself, like it's your, Phil Heath is on your phone background or on your laptop background. When you keep seeing those pictures, that really does reinforce your mind being in the muscles because you're thinking about the muscles and you're constantly concentrating on it, and you know exactly what you want something to look like. Even more so. Like it's really getting your head there because it's more than just making sure you're doing it right. It's more than just making sure that you're feeling it in the muscle that you're trying to work out. It's where that you want that muscle to go, and I just think that's so much more of an advantage. The mental game. There's three aspects to working out, okay? There's the mental game, which I think is so fucking key. Not the most important, but maybe it's number two. The first aspect, really, the number one aspect is diet, okay? It's 80% diet, 20% working out. I think that's a fact, okay? So the first element is diet. Second element is the mentality, knowing exactly what you want, why you want, and getting your head in your muscles when you're working them. The third is the actual workouts, okay? So keep that in mind. But I think, just in my opinion, I think the mentality is so important. And we might talk about some other mental tricks that you can do later. We'll talk about music and maybe role play and all that, which I've covered in past fitness specials, but, we'll bring them up again. So, okay, so there's the mentality of it. That's something that's really important, what you have going on. Diet, we'll get into diet later, even though it's the most important one. It's the one that I think is the most subjective and the most tailored, to the individual, that what I say about it, might not have a whole lot of bearing for you. And everybody, there's different body types, okay? You have, endomorph, mesomorph, ectomorph. Okay, one end of that spectrum, mesomorph is the middle. One end of the spectrum is like your big bone and just naturally a bigger person. Okay, you have to eat a lot differently than, say, the guy on the other end of the spectrum who is, maybe naturally more lanky or something like this. That guy has to eat for mass. If you're the other end, you don't have to eat for mass. If you're a mesomorph, which I'm not sure technically where I fit. Stephanie says she thinks I'm a mesomorph. Okay, whatever. I thought I was on the other end, on the bulky end, but maybe not. Then you just want to be eating really clean. Okay. But so diet can shift based upon, what you're trying to go for, but there's some principles that work across the board that I think will be helpful to talk about. So, okay. Let's talk about, before we get into diet, let's talk about the exercises themselves. So before we even describe the exercises, there are some basic principles that I have come to find work for me. Okay. I mean, again, this is so, you can, go to like Flex Online, go to all these like bodybuilder websites, and you're going to get 20 different answers to so much of the shit. So to some degree, I can only tell you what's been working for me. Okay. But I have a foundation, of what I think makes for a great workout and what I think gets me the results that I want. So I'm sharing that with you. Okay. And it's something that I've been experimenting with, at least a lot with some of this newer foundation that I've been experimenting with for, well over a year. And I've been very pleased, with my gains and everything else. So, okay. The basic principles here. I don't think, and there's research to back up what the principles I'm about to lay out. However, like many things, you can find research that would say the exact opposite at plenty points. Like, for example, when we get into diet and we start talking about creatine, there's a major argument. When do you have creatine? Do you have it before or after? When is it going to give you the best results? And this is a huge argument, and there's science on both sides, to say, oh, it's better to have it before than it is after. But then there's science that says, no, it's better for, there's research, I should say. I don't like to just use the term science like it's some kind of God. But there's research to suggest that, no, it's better if you have it after. Okay. We'll talk about that. But that's the thing. Yes, you can find, you can absolutely find people who will argue the opposite of everything I'm probably about to say, but then you can find people that would agree. And they're the ones that taught me, like I learned from them. It's not like I necessarily did trial and error, and not from point zero, I did trial and error based upon what other people had suggested. So, okay. So the basic principles are, the concept that you need rest days. No, you don't. Okay. The idea that if your muscles feel sore and are hurting means that you need to take it easy. No, you don't. Okay. You can work out 7 days a week. Soreness is, in many ways growth. Okay. That's actually what you're shooting for. That's all right. Admittedly, with soreness and working out 7 days a week, like there are stretches of time where when you are really growing, that your body's going to be hurting a lot and for a good long while, and good long while meaning days, weeks, potentially, maybe even months. But then it goes away, and then you've reached your next level, and you keep going forward, and then maybe it comes back for a little while, and you keep going forward. So 7 days a week is what I work out as much as I can. There are days where that doesn't necessarily happen, but even then I try to get in some kind of a workout, even if it's something more aerobic, and doesn't include weights, in the picture. But 7 days a week, and it is 1 hour per day. Generally, it actually chalks up more to almost like 2 hours now, but I split it up. And I'll explain how that works. Okay. But yeah, so 1 hour to 2 hours. And generally, even if you just did an hour flat, okay, there is research to suggest that really, just doing it an hour a day, even just 3 days a week, and like inside of a couple of years, if you're doing it right, your diet is right, you can have the body of your dreams. You do not have to do what bodybuilders do, where you are going into the gym 7 days a week, 5 hours a day. And believe me, they do that. Okay. You just don't. Unless your goal really is to compete in the IFBB or something, to compete for the Mr. Olympia, then it's a very different story. Okay. But you can get solid gains. You can get a body that looks better than 99 or better based upon the metric of how cut and size, etc. Not necessarily better as in, this is the penultimate. Okay. Or this is the ultimate. Penultimate would be the second to ultimate. You can get, you can get a body better than 99% of the population easily by just working out 3 days a week, 1 hour each of those days. Okay. So, but I do 7, and it really adds up now to about 2 hours a day. And now the first hour, let's break this down. The first hour is I do abs every day, and that's usually about 20 minutes of abs or so. And then I will do approximately a 30 minutes of cardio. 30 minutes. So my ab workout. Okay, and look, by all means, start off with body weight, with ab workouts. Even if you're like in pretty good shape, body weight ab workouts are going to kill you. I mean, they're like, you are going to feel it. There's days where if you push it really hard, you won't even want to eat. It's going to hurt so bad. And I have been there, and I hate that. It's worse. It's the one feeling perhaps worse than leg day when you get a really great abs workout. Holy shit. Well, it hurts. But, the results, well, I mean, I'm still working on my abs, but the results are there, and that's, if that's what you're going for, then that's what you get. As far as ab workouts, so the best ones, just to put this out there, the best ones, there's a site called Derby. Now, I put it in the show notes. Most of the things I'm going to talk about, I have linked to in the show notes, so you can find it. But it's called Derby. I've been recommending this site for years, and they have tremendous ab workouts there. Okay. There's another site where if you want to start adding in weights to your ab workouts, that will help you out with that. And that is a site that I am recommending for this entire podcast, and that is a site something that bodybuilding.com released, which is like this almost an encyclopedia that you can, and it's interactive. It's a website where you can choose like what body part you're working out, what muscle group you're working out, what equipment you have, and it'll show you workouts that you can do for it, and it gives you ratings on those workouts and everything. It's really, full video and everything. Like, it's really, really nice. It was in the Sovereign Tech newsletter recently, that website, because I was just so impressed by it. And bodybuilding.com does offer like full workout plans too. I'm to the point where I make my own workouts, but something you can do is that you can do a hybrid where you take the workout from Derby, okay, from Derby.com, and you just add weights to it, whatever weights are comfortable to you. But Derby has great weight. And you can do the same thing where there's check boxes, and you can choose, I want a workout that has weights, and you can choose that. And I've been using those for forever. They're my old standbys, even though now I'm to the point where I custom make my own workouts. Okay. So I do abs for approximately 20 minutes or so, and then I do cardio, like I said, for approximately 30 minutes. And my cardio is quite simply, I run on a treadmill. We have Stephanie and I have a treadmill, and I run on that for 30 minutes, and I mean, and it's off and on, and, I'm still building up on that because cardio is a new thing for me. It's something that I'm introducing, because I've really been against cardio for a long time, but I've been convinced that adding in some cardio, is really, really helpful for, fat burn off and all this. You can work out abs every day. Here's another principle for you. Okay. There's at least 3 muscles that you can work out every single day if you want to. Okay. That's forearms, calves, and abs, because they recover very quickly, meaning they're ready to go the next day. Okay. So you could work those out every day if you wanted to. I haven't gotten to the point. I'd like to get to that point, but I have to free up more time where I am doing forearms every day. I am doing calves every day, and I am doing abs every day, and getting in that 30 minutes of cardio at least. In fact, I'd like to increase. Eventually I'll get to the point where I'm like running that 30 minutes pretty much full time. or, booking it pretty good on those 30 minutes full time. And then maybe I'll up that at some point to like 60 minutes or something. Okay. So, and understand, doing all of this, let me just make this point here. Doing all of this, when you get to the body that you want, and you can get there, okay, like there is an end game. When you get to that, maintaining, you can slow things down quite a bit, because I'm in a very much a growth phase, as it were, a gains phase. But when you get to a certain point, then you can get to where you maintain, and then you can slow down a lot of this stuff. Okay, to where you don't have to do 60 minutes of cardio. You can do 30, you can do 15, where you don't have to do abs every day. You could just do it like every other day or even once a week. But you never want, abs never really, here's the thing with abs, it never has to be its own workout day. It just doesn't. In fact, it's almost, it's so much overkill to make it its own day. Most people say, or, some research I've read, says you really only need to do it for like 10, 15 minutes, before a workout. So it might be easy enough for you to just put in the abs workout, not before your cardio, but, right into whatever workout you're doing that day. I like to separate it only because, like, if it's a really great abs workout, I'm feeling it. And that can, like, I'm feeling it so hard that it can affect my core workout, or it can affect my workouts in general because of how much I activate my core during workouts, that it's painful. And so it affects my later workout. So I like to separate it, but you don't have to. Okay. So that's that. So abs every day, a little bit of cardio, 30 minutes, whatever, or maybe start off with 15 minutes if you're just starting out. Start off with less if you're just starting out with cardio. Get that in every single day, and I like to split it up, and I split it up by quite a few hours. Like I'll do that first thing in the morning. I'm pretty much to the point where I'm getting up at 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. around there every day, and I will, by 8 or 9 or whatever, like I'll try and get that in. Or if I have like some crazy work to do in the morning of some kind, I'll make doing the cardio and the abs work sort of my reward where I take a break. It's almost like my lunch break because I don't really eat lunch. So then later in the day, just before dinner, usually, if I have to, I will eat dinner first. And like if things are whatever the schedule looks like for the day, and if things are too busy, all right, I'll have a quick dinner. And then at the end of the day, when everything's done, like if it's 10 p.m., even if it's midnight, then I'll get in my second workout for the day. Then my main workout for the day, the most important workout for the day. If I have to skip a workout, I'll skip the abs and cardio. And my main workout, my spot training, where I'm working either shoulders, and I'll break down each day what I do, where I'm either doing shoulders or if I'm doing chest, whatever. That's the one that I make sure I get in every single day, no matter what. If I have a time constraint, or if I don't have the equipment to necessarily do so much cardio, I make sure I get in that that hour workout, that main workout as I call it. So that'll be later on in the day, a few hours later usually, and oftentimes just before dinner, because I'll have my protein shake as a main part of my dinner. Obviously, if you haven't guessed it yet, I do engage in intermittent fasting, where I only eat within a small window during the day, and pretty much after 4 o'clock. But, then I stop obviously by the time I'm going to bed, and then when I wake up, I don't eat again until like 4, at least until after 4. Sometimes it's not till 6, 7, or 8, but whatever it ends up being. So, okay. So the main workout for the day, this is the spot training. Now, principles to understand with this, and this can also apply to the abs workout. You really only need, now granted, I'm a guy that's going for size. Okay. You really only need to do between 8 to 12 reps of anything. In fact, maybe even 6 to 12 reps, depending upon the muscle. Like if it's like lat raises or something, like you really only need to do like 6 of those. Okay. I mean, just with a lot of weight. Now I use a lot of weight. I'm maxing out every main workout that I do. Okay. I am maxing out on weight and whatever I can do. And again, it's whatever I can comfortably, or maybe slightly uncomfortably, do anywhere between 8 to 12 reps of it. And I'll do 4 sets. Okay, so 4 sets of 8 reps, whatever it happens to be. Okay, and it's heavy weights every single time. Now, if you're going for perhaps more of that functional strength, if you're going for not size per se, but just to have the power overall or whatever, Or even if like say you're a woman and you want to, be more lithe, if you want to be more, you don't want biceps showing and stuff like this, then you can follow the same principle, but instead of doing 8 sets with the heaviest weights possible, or instead of doing 4 sets for whatever workout that you're doing, whether it's bicep curls or shoulder shrugs or whatever, instead of doing that, use lighter weights and just do a lot more reps, like 20 reps or something. Okay. That'll give you the strength still and the fitness, your body will be feeling it, but instead you're going to have this different style, this different look and a different kind of strength. Okay. So some people like to try and hybridize between those two. I know what I'm going for. I know again, those are the things you got to be able to answer. What do you want to look like? Why are you doing this? I know what I'm going for. And heavy weights all the time. That's what gets me my goals. So you really don't have to do, and this is another thing backed by research. You really only, doing more than 8 to 12 reps isn't going to help anything. If you're looking for gains, if you're looking for growth, okay. If you're looking for, more functional strength and stuff, like I said, that's different. All right. But, yeah, there you go. So, so whatever I'm doing, that's it. Whatever the exercise is, and it'll generally be anywhere between 6 to 10 different exercises that I will do for a specific muscle group every day. Okay. So it's 6 to 10 different exercises, 4 sets of at least 8 reps for each of, 8 to 12 reps for each of those exercises. Okay. So that's how I shape that up. And, there's wiggle room there. You can change things as needed. But that's my general template that I run with. Okay. So now usually how this works is, and sometimes it shifts on the day, so I can't say specifically what day that I really do it, but let's start off with Sunday. Sunday, arm day. Look, arms, I say this all the time. If you have really big, good-looking arms, you can get away with a lot of other shit on your body. Okay, you can get away with perhaps not having an impressive chest or impressive shoulders or a big back or having abs. Okay, or even having fairly good sized legs. You can get away with a lot if you just if you have big arms. So a lot of people like to work arms pretty hard. I was doing for a while where I was doing like 3 days of arms in a row. I have completely changed that, but now it's because I'm at a point where other parts of the body need to really be concentrated on. I'm not going to recommend to you to do because that takes a toll. I'm not going to recommend to you to do 3 days of arms per week, or especially in succession. I'm not going to do that. Okay. So because I think it's important, again, you get arguments both sides, but I think it's important that each muscle group has time to recover, has time to rest. Some muscle groups need less than others, but I like there to be, you don't need to take a day off from working out, but your muscle groups do need rest, in my opinion, for them to really get those extreme gains if that's what you're going for. So Sunday would be arms, forearms, and biceps. Biceps, they're such. So here's another principle to understand. The smaller the muscle group, the less variation in workouts that it needs. Okay. You can, like the bicep, even though it's a show muscle, is actually a very small muscle. Like really, even if you have, 24-inch pythons, it's still a very small muscle. Okay. So it doesn't need a lot of variation, but you can spend a lot of time on it. Okay. So biceps for me is 1 day. Some people like to work biceps and triceps on the same day. I'm not to that point, and that would end up becoming a 2-hour workout on its own if I did. All right. And I'll explain more why I do triceps on a different day as we go along here. So Sunday I will do biceps and forearms. For forearms, all that I use, and if I think of it, I didn't put this in the show notes already, but if I think of it, I'll put it in there. I use what's called a forearm blaster, which is like this bar. You could even do it with like a baseball bat with a rope drilled through the center of it. And you just twist up this, you put, there's like like you can put weight plates at the bottom of it, and you just twist it up, and then go twist it down, twist it back up, twist it down, and the rope kind of wraps around the bar that you're holding. And your forearms will burn. I get to the point where, like, my stopping point for doing a forearm blaster is when in fact, it's funny because I'll go to like type afterwards perhaps, and I can't even type. Like that's how much my forearms will be burning, is that my hands will be shaking and I can't even type. It's a painful feeling, but it's also a great feeling. It goes away in pretty short order, but oh man, is that wild. So that's all I do for forearms. Forearms is a very tough muscle to really work out without very specific machines. And if I didn't, I should have explained this earlier. The only machines that I have, I have a bench, I have an incline bench, I have a treadmill, and that's about it. Like, I mean, we have some other stuff, but those are really the only things I use. Everything else is, I have dumbbells and I have an easy pull bar, which looks like a barbell, but it has like these curves on it. That's it. I never use a barbell. That's just me, but I don't use it. I think, my opinion based upon the research I've read, and look, again, you can find research that goes the other way. With my research, a straight bar doesn't, is a like a straight barbell is just tantamount to injury, like, because your body doesn't really move necessarily that way with that, and I think you can get better gains when you're working out the individual, like your left arm and your right arm individually, more so than if you are having one maybe pick up the slack for the other. So big believer in not using straight bar, but that's fine. If you like the straight bar, you can adapt everything I'm saying to a straight bar. That's totally okay. Again, different philosophies in a very real sense, and you do what works for you. So Sunday is biceps, and same deal. I do 6 to 10 different exercises, Zotman curls, things like this. The weighted exercises, you can find them. You can pick from ones, say at the bodybuilding.com website that's in the show notes, or at Dare-B, they have it too, if you want something a lot more structured. That's one day, and then I'll do the forearm blaster, and that's Sunday. That's my hour on Sunday. Okay. In addition to abs and cardio. Monday, what I will do is leg day. Okay. And my leg workouts are pretty uniform. Leg workouts, legs is the one thing where I wish I had a little more machine, because I wish I had a leg press. Okay. For leg workouts. Because, I wish I had a leg press machine at home. I am not one for doing, kind of the gold standard of leg workouts is squats, okay, with a with a barbell, right, on your shoulders, and you go down, you do your squats on the squat rack. Not my game. I do squats, but what I do is I take 2 dumbbells and I put those on my shoulders, holding them up, and then I do my squats, and that's how I do those. I'm a little concerned. I've heard too many stories of injuries based around using a barbell for those squats. And again, I'm trying to avoid every injury I can. And I haven't really experienced any yet. So woo, but knock on wood there. Oh, there we go. Wood desk, or maybe some other wood. So yeah, so I wish I had a leg press machine. That'd be great, because that's a great alternative, or even addition if you do barbell squats. It would really, that would be awesome. And sometimes I actually go to a full on professional gym, and when I do, I can't wait to use the leg press machine. I'll usually make it my leg day when I go there, because you're not limited in what you can do with legs. But outside of having some of those machines, the machines really do help. Like I say, a leg press, I throw on 600, and if I really want to max out, throw on 7 or 800 pounds on it, and I'll go nuts on it. Legs cannot be worked out enough. Most people, even the best bodybuilders in the world, do not work out their legs enough. Okay. I work out legs 3 days a week. That is a new thing for me. That's what I used to do with arms. Now I do it with legs. I was concerned at one point that I wasn't looking terribly, what's the term I'm looking for? Proportioned. And I refuse to end up with like chicken legs or have like this, massive upper body and then have legs that are like nothing, So legs are really important to me. So I work those out 3 days a week. But again, talking back to the leg workouts, there are leg workouts you can do, lunges, a lot of these things are they're deceptively really hard, especially when you start adding in weights to them. So there's options with legs, but those workouts generally all look the same unless I actually get to a professional gym. Like one thing, so doing calf workouts, you have like calf roller machines at gyms. That's the other piece of machinery that I wish I had, because whenever I get my hands on those, where it's like this bar at the end and you can just kind of like you push your toes on the bar and it works the calves. Like my calves are burning after doing a few sets on one of those. Now calf workouts they're the rare workout where I do those to failure. Okay. Like I'll do 4 sets, but I do them to failure. And I do adjust my feet. People talk about that, how, to really work out your calves, you want to do it kind of pigeon-toed, and then you want to where your toes are facing straight, and then you want to do it where your toes are facing outward. Okay, so you do each set, you kind of do your feet in a different position. And usually I'll do it twice with my feet facing, straight ahead, because that's the kind of the main area. So, but calves, every single time, every set, it's to failure every time. But that's the only one where I do that. And it's because it is such a weird muscle to kind of work out. It is a weird muscle group. Like I said, it's one you could do every day. You could do it to failure every single day if you wanted to. I'd love to get to that point. The runs that I do, I think already help with the calves anyway. So I'm kind of doubling down on it. So I don't necessarily do calves every day because of that, but I wouldn't mind if I could add into where, I'm standing on having a 2x4 that I can kind of arch on and doing my calf workouts with. Because there's really, all you can do, calf raises are it. There's like modifications on the calf raise, but the calf raise, that's all you got, as far as workouts for your calves that like really hone in on your calves. So that leg day, Monday is leg day. Tuesday I'll do chest, and chest is just completely on its own. There's so many chest workouts you can do. And one of the big things that you can do, so now a lot of people might have a bench. Let me recommend to you, get an incline bench. An incline bench is a bench that, obviously can incline. The way that you can do different workouts based upon the incline as well as decline, not just the bench going up, but also down. Those shifts in position are huge in the gains that you can achieve with that. And how it modifies the workout. It is, it's just amazing. I went for so long without an incline bench, and I wish I hadn't, because it's such an important piece of equipment. Okay. Just like, and if you can get an incline bench where you can do where it has like a preacher curl, add-on. That way you can, you can get like an easy pull bar, and when you're doing biceps, you can do preacher curls. Preacher curls are a major arm workout, just a total staple that still works well to this day. So, so incline bench is really great, especially for chest. Really handy thing to have. Will just totally change your game as far as chest workouts go. But that absolutely gets its own day. After chest, I will do another leg day that following day. Nothing really to add on here. It's the same leg day that I did the day previous, unless I was going to a gym. After, so let's see. So that's Tuesday. I made or Wednesday was another leg day. Thursday is shoulders, and shoulders alone. To get those boulder shoulders, you've got to work on shoulders alone. And there's a bunch of different workouts to do as far as that goes. Those will be up to you. But shoulder presses, different forms of shoulder presses, like the Arnold press, all that, very helpful. Okay. Same principles. You do 6 to 10 different types of workouts, 4 sets for each workout, 8 to 12 reps each workout. Same deal. Okay. Except for, that'd be back day. So after shoulder day, so that would be, what are we on, Thursday? So then Friday would be back day, but it's not just back. It's actually back, traps, and tries. Okay. Triceps and traps, which are like kind of the muscles that run sort of down your neck, from down from your neck. And back workouts, there really aren't a whole lot, and back and traps, there really aren't a whole lot of back and trap workouts. They're not small muscles, but they're kind of simple in what you can do with them. Okay. Now, traps, like your best workout for your traps is a good old fashioned shoulder, what they call a shoulder shrug, which they should really call it a trap shrug. So shoulder shrugs, what you want to be doing, with those when you're working your traps, okay, is that's where you want to, some people say, well, they do both arms at the same time, where they're just holding weights in their hands and they shrug their shoulders. What you actually want to do is you want to do them one at a time, because that's going to give you a greater growth when you're doing shoulder shrugs in the traps. And you think the traps aren't that big of a deal. Oh, no, they shine, especially when your lats get big and everything. I mean, like, it's a really important muscle to work out. So, but because there's so few things to do with backs and traps, I put them into one day. And there's an argument to be made that because some people actually do shoulders and traps, because you're only adding on a couple workouts. Like you're going to do upright rows, and you're going to do, if you're working with weights, you're going to do upright rows and you're going to do shoulder shrugs. Like those are your trap workouts. Okay. Some people want to put those in with shoulders, and it makes sense. But then there's an argument that actually fitting it in, doing it not on shoulder day gives you a little more power to work with, because you've already killed your shoulders. And even though there's only a few trap workouts, you want to give them everything you've got. And so I put on traps on back day, because also with back, not a lot of the workouts that you can do for your back are body weight. There's not a lot of weights that you can really add into it. You can do bent over rows and stuff like this, and that's your back workout. Now, the gold standard of back workouts, and also that helps the traps, of course, are pull-ups. Okay. And if you can do those, not everybody can do those, and maybe you have to build up to those. Great. That is one of your major back workouts. I mean, just nothing works out the back like a pull-up. I have a challenge with pull-ups, because I am like just naturally, a heavy guy. But that's something that I'm constantly working on. And eventually I'll get to the point where I'm doing, when I was in the military, I could do plenty of pull-ups, no problem. But right now I'm, really, really building up. So, I'll get to the point where I can do a lot of pull-ups more regularly, but that's definitely the gold standard as far as back goes. Now, the bulk of that day, though, because there's not a whole lot of back workouts to do, and there's not a whole lot of trap workouts to do, the bulk of that day is going to be spent, on triceps. And that's where there's just a ton of shit to do. Like, there's so many different workouts to do for your triceps. And the triceps are so important. Most people just don't realize this. Okay. When you want to say fill out a shirt, or when you want people to look at your arms and go, wow, that guy's got big arms or something like that, the bulk of the size of your arms really isn't the biceps, because you generally, even if you're working out for mass, for size, you generally, your biceps, you don't really notice them until you like really flex them. Your triceps are the ones that are just always ready, always there, kind of always engaged, and they actually give you that huge look. Okay. And they give you the better measurements as far as like when you're measuring your arms, do you have 18-inch arms, or, whatever it ends up having to be, or whatever it ends up being. So triceps are really important, and you want to spend a lot of good time on them. And the workouts for your back and the workouts for your traps generally don't affect, outside of pull-ups, don't affect your triceps very seriously. So you can kind of come into a tricep workout after doing back and traps. You can come into it pretty fresh. Okay. So I think that's, for me, like, that's the best time to do that. So that would be, so what did we say? Is that my Friday? Yeah, I think that's my Friday. And so then Saturday, another leg day. And that rounds out an entire week, and you're spot training everything there. Okay, so again, Sunday is biceps, forearms. Really, you could add in forearms any day. Monday is legs. Tuesday's chest. Wednesday's legs again. Thursday is shoulders. Friday is back, traps, and triceps. And then, back to Saturday, you're back to legs, and then, repeat. And Sunday, you're doing biceps again. Okay, you're doing arms. So that's how that ends up working out. Again, earlier in the day, you get in your cardio, and you do an abs workout. And then later in the day, you have your whole main workout that you do. And the only equipment that I'm using I mean, with varying degrees of weights, of course, but the only equipment I'm using is dumbbells, an easy curl bar, and an incline bench, and I have a forearm blaster. I have a ton of different weight plates and everything. But that's about it. I mean, like, I have a medicine ball, and I'm going to start adding that into my daily abs workouts to a degree. But I mean, those are the basics, and I think that those things can take you really, really far, if you go with those. So let's, that's the basics of the workouts. And I think I laid out the bulk of the principles, that you want to make sure that you're integrating and what you need to know and how often, what frequency and everything to do all that with. I mean, and it's a time commitment, it really is a time commitment. I get it. Like there's a lot of things that I can think of that I have sacrificed doing to make sure that I get in that hour or even 2 hours, depending, in every day. And a lot of people don't have that kind of time. Maybe some people are working, 16-hour days. I don't know, or 12-hour days or something where, oh shit, all I want to do is come home and watch TV. No problem. I'm not knocking anybody for feeling that way. I've been there. I know how that feels. Okay. But it takes time. And again, once you get to the body that you want, you don't have to do 2 hours a day. And you don't have to do 7 days a week either. You can really cut it. You can cut it back down to where maybe it's an hour, 3 days a week. You know what I mean? You really can, but there is that point where you got to build up and you got to get to that point. All right. In the first place, and you're going to be hurting. You're going to be hurting a lot. We're not even into diet yet. You're going to be hurting a ton. Okay. So, and it's not like you shouldn't be hurting to where, like it's excruciating pain and, then you probably fuck something up, and not blaming you, but you fuck something up and you need to go to the hospital. Okay. But you're definitely going to be hurting. It's going to be tough to walk up steps. It's going to, a lot of these things are going to be going for you. That's why it's so important for the mentality of this. Why do you want to do it in the first place? You've got to be able to answer that question. Yeah. For me, sure. When I take my clothes off and a gal sees me, I'll admit it. I want to see her I want to see and hear her audibly gasp, just like, oh, I love that. Okay. I'm all about that. So, and then of course, there's the longevity, living longer and, being healthy helps with that, etc. Okay. So you got to know why, and that reason's got to be good enough. It's, for me, great sex, that is enough reason to do fucking anything. You understand? For me, I don't expect it to be the same with you. Maybe it's not, but the reason's got to be there. The reason, it's got to be enough, because you are going to go through shit. All right. To get that body of your dreams, you're going to go through shit. Now, if you have a really long timeline, like if you don't care if you don't look like an Adonis until 10 years in the future, then yeah, honestly, you could probably get away with, 30 minutes a day, 3 days a week. And you would eventually get there. It depends on your timetable. I'm not in a rush, but I'm trying to get there as quickly as I can. So, I'm certainly, quote unquote, punishing myself a lot harder than perhaps most would. Okay. But yeah, that mentality is so important. So some side notes on that, and then we'll talk about diet. And of course, the most important part of any fitness diet is perhaps if you're looking to get size and, kind of bodybuilding more than anything, is the protein shake. And we'll talk about that. But, because my protein shake has changed a little, over the years, but, let's talk a little bit about the mentality. Music. For some people, what really makes you feel hardcore and badass, and you want to have that feeling when you're working out, okay? Because again, there's an intensity that you have to, that you're going to be engaging in. Now, something I didn't mention, I want to mention it here. Something I didn't mention is that between those reps, between the 4 sets and the 4 sets of 8 to 12 reps and whatever workout, I will take a break for anywhere between 20 seconds to 90 seconds. You don't want it to go past 90 seconds, okay? Because you really want constriction of the muscles for as long as possible, okay? And you want to be, my belief is that what speed do you do the workouts at? Very slowly. Slow allows for precision. It is a greater strain on the muscles, which is good, and it prevents injury. Okay, so be very like my work. Part of the reason that the workouts go for an hour is because I am doing them so slowly, and because I take about a minute between each set. Okay, but I think that's for me, that's needed. That allows me to maximize the weight that I'm using, and all the rest of it. Okay, so that's a really important part of it. And it feels like, doing an hour, and sometimes it ends up being a little more. Sometimes it could end up being a little less. It works out because something I was going to mention next is music, and a lot of people have different tastes on, what I was going to say is like, look, even if you're moving slowly, there's still an intensity, an intentionality that requires, I think, a certain attitude to really, achieve and to really like get everything out of it that you're doing. So music wise, hey, look, I dig gangster rap, whatever, hip hop, you call it, I can dig that stuff, and that can certainly deliver a certain intensity, pop on Eminem, or, I'm actually a huge fan of P. Diddy. And I can, I get it. And that can really help out with a workout. Whatever makes you feel badass, in my opinion, is what you want to listen to. Sometimes though, personally, I'm a metalhead. And so, I'm playing Dragon Force, Amaranth, Evanescence. I love Evanescence. Go down. There's so many bands, or even a lot of 80s stuff. I'll listen to Whitesnake, Motley Crue, of course, Kiss, the greatest band of all time. I'll listen to all those. Okay, Poison, Scorpions, whatever, or more modern stuff, Iron Savior. There's Powerwolf. There's a ton of them. Okay, so metal is what does it for me. That gives me my intensity. All right. I can handle lighter stuff sometimes. Some days, you just kind of want to quiet your brain, especially if it's been a really busy day. And I'm not kidding. Like, I will work out to the Coyote Ugly soundtrack. Dead serious. I'll work out to Adele. Not kidding. Not kidding in the slightest. I will work out to something that's still kind of a rocker, but I'll work out to Stan Bush, Rick Springfield even. So it depends, there's certainly whatever your mood is a good gauge of what you need musically. But I think music is a really important part of any workout. I think that it really, really helps change the game and helps you get in that mentality that allows you to take advantage and of the entire workout, and I think it helps you get your mind in your muscle, like we talked about earlier. So music's a big deal. The other thing, and this is something that I talk about here and there that I don't see enough people doing. Derby tries to do this a bit, where they set up their workouts based around like kind of almost like it's not really a tabletop role-playing game, but for all intents and purposes, it's a role-playing game without the tabletop. I'm a big proponent of this. If you want to imagine in your head that you are some kind of gladiator on an alien planet, and you're working out or whatever, and that night you get to sleep with the rewards or whatever, and you know what I'm talking about, by all means fucking do that. I do it all the time. You have no idea. If you want to imagine while you're doing shoulder shrugs or something that you're lifting up like you're lifting up a huge wheelbarrow with you're lifting the arms of the wheelbarrow, and there's 3 women sitting in the wheelbarrow or something. I mean, do it, whatever it takes to motivate you. Okay. By all means, role play, imagine that there's people there. I mean, if you want to imagine that there's stooping going on in the gym and stuff, and you're just working out and enjoying it, just taking in the pure hedonistic pleasure of it all. Fuck yes, do that. And that really helps, because what's going to happen is there is a point, and I think I've mentioned this somewhere on Sovereign Tech. There's a point where your brain, if you're taking it this seriously, where you're doing at least an hour a day, approximately 7 days a week, whatever, and you really planned it out, and you're making it a big part of your day. There is a point where your brain will crack. Okay. And suddenly you'll change from not the attitude of, oh, I got to go to the gym. Oh, I got to work out. Oh, this is going to suck. What the fuck? But you're going to get to the point where you're suddenly going to say, oh, why can't I be at the gym? Oh, why can't I be working out right now? God damn it. Why do I have to do anything else? I mean, you really get to that point. I got to that point probably in the past year, where suddenly it just snapped and it's like, no, this isn't torture. This is what I want to be doing, and I want to be doing it a lot more, I mean, you'll really get there. It's crazy how it works out that way, but it really does. And I think the role playing aspects in your mind, the mental game, is what really gets you there. And also, like I take, so when I work out, there's so many albums now. There's so many, music. There's so much music that comes out today. There's so many albums, even from just bands that maybe I've been listening to for 30 years, that, are still around and still making albums. I mean, there's just constantly new albums. One of the best ways that I can get in listening to a new album is, again, I work out for an hour. The average album lasts anywhere from 36 minutes to, 49, 50, something like that. I can listen to an entire album in a workout, and it's perfect. And so I get in, do I like this album or do I not? And at the same time, I get to rock out a workout. Sometimes that sucks because sometimes the album sucks, but whatever, I mean, it's a great way for me to still take in music and still take in a lot of culture while I'm working out, or while I'm spending this time working out. This is the beauty of audio. I'm not much of a one for listening to podcasts while I work out, unless it's a very specific podcast that like I'm just dying to listen to. I that's not my game. I know there's a lot of people who work out while listening to Sovereign Tech, but Sovereign Tech is a fairly intense show. I'm a fairly intense guy behind the mic, so I can understand, I guess, why people do that. Like that's sort of different. But most people don't do shows like I do. It's all very calm and NPR and very passive, and that's not me. So, I don't usually listen to podcasts. I generally don't listen to audiobooks because I can't totally be in the book and be in the muscle at the same time, mentally. So I usually don't do that. But sometimes, like if I have to get through a Star Wars book fast or something, before I do a Star Wars update, I'll do it. But otherwise, not really. Watching movies while working out, that can be great. I've definitely done where I've watched porn or hentai or something, while working out, and that is definitely very inspirational. And so, that's something that you can consider. I'm super particular with porn though, because like I didn't grow up with the porn industry, but a chunk of my family is in the porn industry. This isn't new news. I've talked about this many times on Sovereign Tech. A chunk of my family is in the porn industry, and I've been on porn sets, and like a lot of porn just doesn't do it for me because I know how fucked up it is on the set. And like, it's really fucked up if it's even a set. It's so bad. So, I feel like I can tell when a production is sort of next level. That's why I like a lot of those like Axl Braun parodies and stuff like this, because those movies, like, they're really going all out and they have to think about, and it's not just some like, look, I don't, obviously I don't have a problem with people doing drugs, but it's not just some drug addled, like, fluffer couch, like hodgepodge terrible thing. I don't even know what words to use. Someday maybe I'll tell some stories about that, because it's such a great, it's a beautiful, there's parts of it that porn is a great industry, and then there's parts of it where this is bad, so like, I mean, it's so funny. You get these porn guys complaining, these kingpins, quote unquote, that complain about they're like, oh, well, everybody's watching our porn for free, and so, nobody's paying for it anymore. And I want to say to them, it's like, no, you know what? The shit you're pulling, like, it's not even worth paying for. Like the stuff you're doing on set is so deplorable. Like, there's no one should pay for it. I'm glad that they're fucking watching it for free. I wish they knew what really went into a lot of this, but that's a whole other story. Anyway, so, but yeah, watching porn, legit porn, then hey, that can be very inspirational too. So the mental game is a big deal. All right, let's talk about diet. Let's get into this. This is already running a lot longer than I expected. So diet, like I said, I do engage in intermittent fasting, where you have like a 6 to, I guess I'll say 4 to 8 hour window in which you eat a day, and then the rest of it you just do not eat. That does not work for everybody. For some people, intermittent fasting actually causes them to gain weight. I have heard of that, and so keep that in mind. You are experimenting with yourself when it comes to intermittent fasting, and it's tough. If you're not doing a million things, it's tough to not think about that your stomach's empty, right? I mean, even though most people in the Western world haven't really experienced full-on starvation, there's a baseline that we're used to, that we're conditioned to, and intermittent fasting fucks with it. So, but I'm a big fan, and I engage in it as often as I mean, if I'm traveling, or if there's friends over and they want to go out for lunch, I mean, yes, I'm going to go out for lunch. I'm going to break the intermittent fasting, but I generally stick to it. So with that, though, my dinners are usually fairly sizable. If I'm cutting weight now, because there's the idea of that to get massive, you have to put on mass if you don't already have the mass. Okay. Like if you're not working out and you already weigh like 300 pounds or something, okay, you don't need to be eating big dinners. All right. And I'm not insulting anybody. I was there. Okay. I weighed 306 before I moved to New Hampshire. So, you don't have to add on, but you don't need to be eating a ton. Okay. Quite the opposite, actually. All right. But yeah, so I mean, you might need, if you're a smaller guy or something like that, yeah, you're going to want to eat a lot. If you're intermittent fasting, your dinner can be pretty huge. Even then, even when you're bulking up, what they call bulking up, where you eat a lot to allow for conversion into, whatever muscle mass and all that, I still generally eat low carb. I mean, you can eat a lot and eat low carb and you're still going to, get the bulk that you need and all that. And there are times where you need, after bulking up, you need to trim back down, to get to that low body fat. And doing so, I mean, or, you can low carb, or you can even go keto. I mean, like both of those are valid options to go for. For some people, they don't work. You are going to know that. And that's what I mean, is that diet is so subjective. There's probably very specific things that you need. Maybe you don't need to be gluten-free. Maybe you do. I mean, these are things you need to know about yourself. Okay. And that will completely affect your diet. So, but I generally stick low carb / keto as much as possible. And I have, I'll have entire weeks where my dinner is actually just a protein shake, maybe a salad, but sometimes it's just a protein shake. Okay. So that's got to be a hell of a protein shake, right? And so let's talk about that. So my protein shake is very particular, and it is different from what it used to be. I've maybe done a major change, dare I say redesign, of my protein shake, I guess over the years, maybe three or four times. But my latest iteration is probably about where it's going to stick, though maybe I'll put in, a couple things here and there that shifted up a little bit. But the basic isn't really going to change. So okay, and actually it's more than just a protein shake. Let me tell you about my supplements in general. All right, because the protein shake is kind of the last element of that. So before I work out, okay, before I do my main workout, not my morning workout, but my main workout, this is the one that I do before dinner. Okay, where it's either arms, legs, chest, shoulders, etc. I have, and I put links in the show notes for all of this, and the links, if you use those, admittedly, those are Sex and Science Hour links, Amazon links. So if you use it, we'll get a little cut of it. But I use, almost exclusively, I use Muscle Farm products, not because they're some kind of sponsor for me, they should be, but but it just makes things simple because, they have like an entire system that they're going with. And the system's kind of like the naming I could do without, like it has this sort of tactical sound to it, like the protein's called Combat. I don't know, they had a bunch of other like weird names involved. Like the original pre-workout drink that I was having was called like Assault. I mean, it's all this kind of attack, sort of names. I used to take a multivitamin that Muscle Farm offered that was called Armor V. I don't take a multivitamin anymore, and I'm not feeling or necessarily seeing a difference by not taking it. So I was experimenting a lot with those kind of like vitamin style supplements for about a year, and I didn't really see any dramatic change. The main things you want to be having, supplements that you want to be having if you're getting into, where you're trying to go for some kind of mass, some kind of bodybuilding of a sort. You want BCAAs, okay, branch chain amino acids. You want BCAAs. You want creatine. Okay, creatine, abso-fucking-lutely do you want creatine to be a part of it. Okay, you want protein of some kind, whey protein at least, or, maybe get into the higher end with isolates and all that. And you might want to, there's like glutamine we'll talk about glutamine in a minute, but you want those, and you need some kind of greens in there, maybe like the one I get is actually from Muscle Farm. It's called Organic Superfoods. That's what it's called, Muscle Farm Organic Superfoods, and it's just like these like super greens that you can just toss into your shake or something, and they don't really taste like anything. So those are the four main supplements you want to have in here. So anyway, I have a pre-workout drink called all of this is by Muscle Farm. It's called Wreckage, and this is their newest one. I used to use Assault, and then they came out with Wreckage, and I was like, oh, okay, let's enhance it. And this is like, it has so much caffeine in it. Okay. So you drink it about 30 minutes to 20 minutes before you're going to do your main workout. Okay. And then you do whatever you're doing between those 30 to 20 minutes. Okay. You put it in 8 fluid ounces of water, blah, blah, blah. You put it in a shaker and away you go. And, this, like, it has creatine in it. So like I said, we're going to talk about the creatine. I think it has 2 grams of creatine in it, and it has a bunch of other stuff. And like I said, it has a shit ton. It has like almost like 400 milligrams of caffeine or something. Like, it's crazy. The salt has less than that. I think it has like maybe half of it. You do kind of build up a tolerance over a while. So there might be weeks where you want to take a break from the pre-workout drink, but we'll talk about that. So I do that, and man, does it work. Like, I am with all that caffeine, obviously I am ready to go for a fucking hour. Like, I am on fire. And in fact, like, I start to get a little tired, and I don't really have the time to take naps, even though rest is so important. And that's something through 2018. If I had a New Year's resolution, if I had 2 of them, actually, the one would be far less social media use. The second is get a lot more sleep. Sleep is so key. And like, wow. So I need to be adding that in, but a lot of times I can't take naps, but I end up getting tired, come around 4 or 5 o'clock or something, or I'm, starting to wind down. And so taking that pre-workout drink with all that caffeine around that time is kind of perfect, because, a lot of research suggests you want to stop drinking caffeine after like 6 p.m. at the latest. Some people say stop drinking it after 2 p.m., but at the latest 6 p.m. So it fits in very well with that window. So I will take, I'll drink Wreckage before I do it. And afterwards, after the workout, I will have what's called Amino 1, which is a recovery drink, post-workout drink that Muscle Farm puts out. And that's with BCAAs. Some people say you can drink BCAAs like during the workout, and that's fine if you're into that. I haven't gotten to that stage. But I'll have the Amino 1, which is like my recovery workout. I'll drink that. And then, that's usually when we're having dinner and everything. And then I'll start thinking about having my protein shake. So the protein shakes that I make, the big ones that I make, the base of it is coconut milk. Okay. Now, links are in the show notes for all this stuff. All right. So I'll take a whole can of coconut milk. Okay. And there's I buy this like from Thai Kitchen or something. It's like a 6-pack. You can get it for $10 per 6-pack off of Amazon. And I just I'll buy one a week, or however long. And it lasts me pretty well. I'll put that in. So this is all in a blender. Okay. I'll put in the coconut milk. I put in 6 cubes of ice for consistency, 5 to 6. Then I put in Now Sports MCT oil. Just a tablespoon of MCT oil in there. Okay. I'm not going to explain the benefits of MCT oil. You can look into that on your own time. I put in a 1/4 stick of butter melted that I melt in the microwave, and then I pour it into there. Then I put in like a spoonful. I'll take like a regular spoon. This is an individual thing because you have to build up a tolerance. Bee pollen granules. I mentioned those last time. If you want to see, again, every brand, everything that I exactly use, there's links in the show notes. So if you're wondering, well, what brand do you use? It's all in the show notes, or all in the links in the show notes. So bee pollen granules, I feel pretty good about these. If you're not used to them, they can make you shit like there's no tomorrow. Okay, so start off very light with how much you're putting in there. Build up your tolerance, whatever. I'm to the point probably where I could put like 2 massive spoonfuls into a shake, and I may start doing that. But anyway, that's I put that in. Okay, And then I'm using Muscle Farms Combat Protein. I'm using their premium, which is 100% whey. They offer 100% casein, and they offer 100% isolate, like whey isolate protein. As you go up that ladder, like, it gets more and more expensive. In fact, you could even get less than 100% whey, and you could pay significantly less. But these things, each of these supplements that I do, I kind of have to go through it maybe about once a month or whatever. So depending upon your budget and how that could work. But the protein, you definitely want to be doing protein. Now, protein, usually a scoop of whatever kind of protein you get generally is around 20, 22 grams or something like that of protein. Maybe it's 30, something along those lines. I'll generally toss in like, I'll do like 2 scoops, to where I'm getting approximately 60 grams of protein or something in my protein shake. So that's what I do. Again, that's the most important part. Then I put in what I mentioned before, the organic superfoods, and 2 things that are kind of, this is where things get interesting. So if I'm in a cutting down phase where I'm trying to lose weight, okay, not bulking up. If I'm in a cutting down phase, I will use glutamine. Okay, and I'll put in a scoop of glutamine for that time frame. And look, a cutting down phase is months, just like a bulking up phase is often months. But if you're not, as I understand it, the research that I understand is that if you're not actually cutting down, glutamine is kind of pointless. But I don't know that that's true. It might be great to just have it all the time, kind of like creatine. Creatine is awesome to consume at all times. So yeah, glutamine, that's up to you if you want to follow that pattern where you only use it when you're cutting down, or if you want to use it all the time, you're certainly welcome to do that as well. Now, creatine. So I use, like I said, the pre-workout drink that I have, that already has creatine in it. And there's an argument, putting my laptop down, there's an argument that, like you should have there's arguments all the way, like how much creatine should you have, etc. There's an argument that you should have around 5 to 6 grams of creatine per day. Okay. There's an argument that you should have it before your workout. There's an argument that you should have it after your workout. What I have decided to do is that, and look, there's some people say, oh no, you should have 10 to 13 grams of creatine a day. You should just go nuts. And I don't know. So what I do is that I buy creatine separately. And so it's already in my pre-workout drink. And so I have some before the workout. And then I have the creatine, the extra 3 or 4 grams, depending upon which brand of creatine you get. I put that into my protein shake. I put the creatine into my protein shake. And so I actually have it before and after. Okay. And I think that works fairly well. So that's kind of my solution, is that I just stand completely out of the argument, is that, well, I do it before and after. You'd certainly be welcome to, say with your pre-workout drink, if you wanted to just add the creatine into that instead of into your post-workout shake, that's fine. But or maybe you put in your post-workout recovery drink or something, totally possible to do. But, and then this is why, this is part of the reason, but again, it's up to you. But I was going to say, this is part of the reason that I kind of like sticking with a brand, because generally they will know they've worked out because they're trying to sell you an entire system, right? Like Muscle Farm is a brand of supplements. They're trying to sell you an entire system, and they have worked out that all of their varying products work within that system. So I feel a lot more comfortable that I'm not consuming some kind of bullshit, or that there isn't going to be some kind of weird synergistic effect or something, even if I mix and match their products, right? Because they've thought about this already. So and I'm not saying Muscle Farm's the best. Just they give me the best kind of value for the dollar that I can get. So that's why I run with them as far as all their workouts, as far as all their supplements and what they make available for fitness. So yeah, so that's, and I mix all that together. Sometimes I'll put in a little water for consistency, like I said, talking about the protein shake, and that, mix it up, and that's it. You have the scoop, each scoop of everything, or 2 scoops in the case of the protein. and you have the coconut milk and all that, and then you just hit Trap A, and away you go. So that's what my protein shake looks like when I have that. And there are some days where maybe I know I'm going to, like, sometimes what happens is that I know I'm going to be going out to eat that night perhaps, and I might be having a really big dinner, and so I'll make a custom shake that just has the protein and the creatine in it, and no coconut milk. It'll just be in water. Okay. And that way, I'm still getting all that protein. I'm still getting the creatine and everything. But it's not going to fill me up so much, because that protein shake for a lot of people, if they had a whole can of coconut milk, that would fill you up pretty good. It doesn't necessarily fill me up, but it does what it does. So, figure out, this is where things get subjective as far as diet, but this is what I put together and this is what I do. And like I said, diet is the most important thing. It is so important to pay attention to diet, but it's also so subjective. Low carb works for some people, maybe for other people it doesn't. Keto works for some people, maybe for other people it doesn't. There's a lot of options as far as that goes. And yeah, do I do cheat meals? Not really, but every once in a while, I know I'm going to be going somewhere where even though I usually don't eat bread at all, where maybe there'll be some bread or maybe there'll be something else there, and I'll eat it. And that allows for what they call carb cycling, where you can, because you put on some carbs, it kind of resets your metabolism to start burning carbs again away. And so if you're like at a plateau where, wow, I've been doing low carb for so long and I've been doing keto for so long or something, keto's a little different, but with low carb, I've been doing it for so long that, oh shit, I can't lose any more weight. Try having some carbs and then going right back on, having a heavy amount of carbs for a meal and then going right back on low carb. And that can often restart your metabolism to burn more. So that's something to consider as well. So anyway, we're about an hour and a half. So I hope that people found this interesting. And there's a lot of things where you can just modify it, how you want it. Like I said, the two main websites that I want you to check out as far as exercise. You don't have to go out and buy any book. You don't have to buy a book. Don't bother. Okay. You can go to Darebee, or there is the exercise kind of encyclopedia that bodybuilding.com has. Like I said, both of those links are in the show notes. Okay. And everything you need to know is there. It's really amazing. In fact, bodybuilding.com just has tons of just a tremendous resource. For even if you want to learn about body parts and all this, they'll explain everything. And some of their blog posts are pretty good, where the workouts they recommend, they're not too over the top. Reading Flex Magazine and Muscle and Fitness and Iron Man and all that, after 50, 60 years, yeah, there's scientific improvements that one might want to pay attention to. But every month, how do you have new exercises every fucking month? Especially for biceps. There aren't new exercises, right? It doesn't even make sense. So bodybuilding.com is a little more intentional. They're a little more slow-paced in what they release, and I think that that's good. And another thing I'm going to add on as far as websites and to the mentality. Not that I want, people having a Facebook account and thus, but Instagram, which unfortunately is owned by Facebook. I wish it wasn't. Instagram, if you follow some of the workout guys on there, some of the women too, or if you follow bodybuilding.com or whatever, it's really inspirational to flip through an Instagram feed and see, those just people in tremendous shape and everything. And that it can really invigorate you. So maybe if you don't have an Instagram account, you might want to consider it. Or, I'm sure their Twitter pages do the same thing and other social media accounts do the same thing, but Instagram seems to be really easy about it. Maybe that's something to consider to give you that little extra inspiration and invigoration. So anyway, that's it for this. If you have any other questions, I tried to address all the questions that I got. A lot of them were kind of the same in what I explained here. But if you have other questions, well, that's why you're a patron and you get the Wednesday Q&A and you get to ask them straight up. And I'd love to get them. I love to talk about this. I'm not a newbie, but I'm certainly no expert, and I certainly rely to some degree on experts, but I know it works for me. And if your goals are similar to mine, well, then I'm happy to have that conversation. So anyway, that's it for this episode. Of course, we got other stuff coming out very soon. Some really exciting shit coming out. 2018, man, we are going to rock this shit. I can't wait. And I know I've got amazing people that are going to be, some people that are going to be working with me, being guests on and whatever else throughout 2018. And it's going to be great. I can't wait. So anyway, I will see you on the other side.